quick disclaimer, we are not investigative journalists. We simply read, watch, and listen to whatever we can to satisfy our curiosity while use this information to form our own personal opinions. Do not take this as investigative journalism. This is simply our own rabbit holes. Hey guys, and welcome to the Crime Cave, where we go down rabbit holes from documentaries, docuseries, and other true crime podcasts. Hey crime friends, I hope you know by now I'm Rachel.
And I'm Victoria.
How are you, Victoria?
I'm okay. I'm a little sleepy today, but otherwise I'm good. How are you?
I'm not bad. Living that Zoom life. Nick's on Zoom learning this week, so if you hear him screaming at his computer, that's why.
Love that.
Mm-hmm. Good old quarantining.
Mm.
Crime news today, and I know you've already seen it, but we just have to talk about it. Alex Murdaugh and getting shot in the head, and today he resigned from his law firm and is going to rehab.
Dude, all this crap is literally like a Lifetime movie, and I'm just like, I'm ready for all of this to finish playing out because I need to know more information.
Okay, so do you think he was shot in the head in relation to the homicides of his wife and son in June? Or do you think it's because of his drug problem that just came to light today? Or alcohol? We don't really know. He's going to rehab for some substance abuse.
I was originally on board of the thought of, oh yeah, it's for like related to the homicides, and now I'm like, well, now maybe it's drugs.
Yeah,
What? I don't even know.
Like, it's on Fox, like national Fox News. So, like, obviously this man is very important. Which, I'm not going to lie, like, I've heard the name, but I never really realized that it was, like, you know, as big of a family as it is. But
oh yeah, that's Southern money right there.
yeah, well, Southern Money was taking money from his law firm, and that's why he had to resign.
Because I don't buy this whole story he has going of how he got shot in the head.
Yeah, well, first of all, you have all this money. Why are you changing your own tire?
Mm-mm.
I don't believe that. You look like a prissy little white hands. You don't touch no dirt. I don't see this. Also, why are we on a back road? Again, money's got no time, nowhere to be. Taking a leisurely back road on Saturday.
It makes no sense. And it's all a very tangled web. Like, if you look into them at all, it's very tangled. And it's very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have a feeling that before the end of the year, that is going to be a podcast episode.
Yo, I mean, I feel like there's so much information that could be its whole own Lifetime series. Like, I need to know. I need to know about the kid that was supposedly hit and they found information on their family land while doing the murder investigation of the son and mother. I need more information about that. What did they find? Did they find the car that they think hit them? What did they find? What else do I need to know?
Who killed the mother and son?
Yeah. Do you think that's related to the boating accident? Do you think the boating accident was actually an accident? Or was it done on purpose? And how many other people have been murdered around this family that we don't know about?
Listen, they are Southern,
and the fact that
old Southern money talks.
The fact that that family has been in the solicitor's office since 1910. Like, I can see a lot of corruption going on right there. I'm not saying there is. I'm not, because we don't know that for sure. I'm just saying, like, that's a lot to go down. And can you imagine being the generation that ruined the family name? Since 1910, this family has been somebody important, and now in 2021, they are walking lifetime episode of a true crime podcast. It's very
This is
interesting.
going to get very, very messy. Like, it's already messy, and I didn't expect it to take this turn. And now it's getting messier. And then I'm like, oh, man, this is going to be good. This is going to be good information. Like, obviously, we don't want anybody to get murdered. We don't want any of that. But, God, we love a good story.
Like, okay, the whole shooting in the head thing. What? You guys
you were not on a back road. And this truck did not drive past you and then turn around and come back and decide to shoot you in the head. No. You were not in your tire.
No. You would not change your own tire. I'm sorry. I just cannot see that. Like, I'm not from money, and I'm telling you, I'm not changing my own tire, but I know how.
Yeah, no, especially not on a road where I'm, like, by myself. Like, I can do it. Sure. It's going to take me forever because weak. But if I'm on, like, a road, it's a back road, I know I'm going to be out by myself and anything could happen. No, I'm sitting in my car waiting for my husband, my father-in-law, my father, anybody else to show up.
Heck, every car insurance company has roadside assistance on it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no. I'm just going to take care of it, but I ain't getting out of that car to do it. Might get out of it to look at it.
Not until another person's there.
Then I'm going to get out of the car, especially since only 2 months ago, was it 3 months ago? I don't know, June. I don't know how long June was now. But your whole family was just murdered, and they don't know who did it. So, and I'm sorry, but you're a little bit more prominent than your child and your wife, okay? So
Yeah.
if they have no idea who did it, and there's a question that it could be related to your job as a solicitor at one point, because we don't know who did it.
Mm-hmm.
Why
like
the hell?
that, it leaves it open because of his job, because of this whole thing with the boating accident, because now we know there was drugs or some sort of a substance abuse problem involved. That opens so many more doors than there was before.
And the fact that he had to now leave the law firm that his family helped, establish this huge law firm because you were misappropriating funds, which
and they already the firm reported him, so
they reported him,
in it.
and he's checking into rehab today. Which you were just shot in the head. How are you checking into rehab?
That's why I'm saying I don't think
Was he really shot in the head? Or was the bullet grazed him? Did he graze himself with a bullet?
That's what I think. I think he did it to himself.
Yeah, like he knew that these issues with the law firm were coming up because they started the investigation. He knew he was going to get caught. Did you chicken out on a suicide? Or did you just want to cause a scene to try to move this investigation from the spotlight of your office to the spotlight of your tumultuous life that you're leaving right now? But now that we've done a whole podcast on Alex Murdaugh, let's get into that.
I'm pretty sure that's going to be like a 3-part series later because that is a mess.
Yeah. We need more information. They need to start releasing. They need to figure out what happened and then start releasing it. Like, how do we not know what happened?
And it's going to get messy.
Do you think he killed his wife and son?
No, I don't think he did that.
Do you think he knows who did it?
Yes.
Me too.
All right. Well, now that we've gone down that rabbit hole a little bit, we are back to reviewing a crime documentary today. Woo! Back to our roots. And this week we watched Gringo, The Dangerous Life of John McAfee.
Yes, and John McAfee is a weird dude. If you think you don't know his name, though, you probably do know what he invented. And it probably drove you nuts back in the day when we had AOL and dial-up. He built or programmed, or I don't know, but he came up with antivirus software. John McAfee is the man who came up with McAfee antivirus software that is actually not called McAfee antivirus software anymore when Intel bought it. But he probably drove you nuts with those paranoid things that would go off and say, you're about to enter a site that has been deemed inappropriate. And that made him a very rich man that then led to a very dangerous lifestyle because of his paranoia.
My phone still does that and annoys the crap out of me. Like, no, I know what I'm doing. Can you please stop?
Does it really?
Yeah, if I go click a link and my phone deems it like that you're going to this and it's not part of this website and here's the thing, and I'm like, no, I know
Duh.
what I'm clicking.
Duh. We know what we're clicking these days. This is not 1995 learning how to use a computer. Although
When I
back in
was
the
one.
day, geez, back in the day though, like when you used to be able to click random stuff and not know what you were clicking, you used to hold your breath. Like, okay, let's see if this is gonna work. I mean, now we know how to check if a site's legit before if we click it, but still, oh man, back then,
Also, how many viruses did you put on your computer with LimeWire?
um, none.
You got lucky.
LimeWire never caused me viruses. It was downloading stupid Sims. Like when Sims Online became like a thing, I would download like you used to be able to put these what are those things called? Like mods, I guess they'd be considered today, into the game. But you'd have to download them first. You used to get those from really sketchy websites. And oh my god, you just remind me of Neopets. Do you remember Neopets? Was it Neopets? What was that website?
I know what you're talking about. Neopets was a thing.
Was it
I
Neopets?
remember it. I was not on the Neopet gang. I was
That's
not a
because
part
you were
of
too
that.
young.
I don't know why.
You were too young.
Probably.
Yes, Neopets. Okay, so stuff on Neopets, like people would they have like these chat rooms, and if you click in the chat room, you could end up with a virus.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Chat room. Anyway, so this documentary is available to watch on Showtime, which you can add onto any like streaming service as an add-on. And most of the time it's free for the first month. So you can go watch this documentary if you want to. And it was aired prior to his death in June of 2021. Y'all, you remember how we were talking about Lifetime movie shit? His story is a wild ride. It's crazy. And the main focus of the interviews and what they talk about in this documentary is on his time in Belize, which is fun to say.
But yes, McAfee moved to Belize in 2008 when he, air quotes, lost millions of dollars after the recession. There's speculation that he didn't actually lose as much as he stated. After developing the antivirus software, he left corporate America and opened a free yogi retreat. This retreat was sold before he left the States. Okay, I just need to talk about this retreat.
Yes. Oh my God.
Like, part of it sounds so cool, like very calming. And then the other part of it's like, this guy's a freaking weirdo. Why would you want to hang out with him, even if it's free?
No, listen, as soon as they started talking about this, the bulbs in my head started going, cult, 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 cult.
Yeah, but then he just abandoned his cult, tells people it's all a bunch of fucking, what did he say?
He was like, it's all a bunch of bullshit. It's
Bullshit.
nonsense, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's nonsense. So you build this whole cult up and then you tell them they're all nonsense. Freaking weirdo.
I think it wasn't going to his plan. That's what I think happened. Personally, it was not turning into the cult he wanted it to. Because, you know, if you look into cults at all, it's all like the main guy is like God himself. And I think that wasn't working for him. That's what I personally think happened. But I don't know. That's just me.
I don't know. Can't ask him now.
Unfortunately, because I have so many questions. So when he moved to Belize, he began creating a compound full of armed security guards. And this compound was supposed to be like holistic medicine research, which, cool. All for holistic medication. Although we do hear from his scientist in this documentary that was helping to develop everything. And it all proved just to be like a smokescreen. And they weren't able to find anything that would be helpful or benefit anybody from this quote unquote holistic medicine lab.
Yeah. Listening to the scientist was so sad. She was really I don't know if I could have been that brave to stand up to him and run away from that situation, especially after you hear about the rape and chasing her, and I'd be terrified.
I am happy that she did that. I can't believe, honestly, that she like was full open with it because, like we said, at the time he was still alive when all this was going on. So he very well could have like continued on his track of what he was doing and
Killed her?
like, Yeah.
Had her killed.
I mean, she's brave, and I am very proud of her for speaking out, because we live in a society where speaking out is a good thing, but also where if you speak out, you're going to get questioned. Her name is Allison Adozio. I don't know if we're saying that right.
I just didn't put it in because I couldn't say that last name.
Well, I'm
You
going
go.
to try and say Adozio. We're probably butchering that, and I'm okay with it, but girl deserves to have her name said because she has big balls.
Can you believe he went as far as putting colored dyed water into beakers just to look like he was doing something?
We have a lot to talk about with him.
Like, I just don't understand. That was so messy. Like, the whole Belize trip was very eye-opening to who McAfee's, image for the rest of eternity. Everything he did before kind of, yeah, he invented McAfee antivirus software, but nothing is as interesting from Belize on,
No,
in
and
my opinion.
did also hearing all of those interviews also make you question how to say his name? Because everybody said it different, and I'm like, well, now I don't
Yes.
know.
Yes. It drove Travis nuts.
So if we're saying his name wrong, say more.
Yeah, because they said it like 15,000 different ways, and I was always under the impression it was McAfee.
Yeah, McAfee.
Yeah, but I heard McAfee.
Oh my god, I couldn't even keep up after a certain point of them saying all the different names. It was insanity how many different ways it was pronounced. And I get like some of it was they were talking to people from Belize. So there's like a little bit of a difference there, but even like Americans,
Yeah,
everybody
even
was saying
Americans
it
were saying
different.
it different. Yeah, it was strange.
I'm like, I
But
don't know.
I don't know. Well, why is John dangerous? If you haven't heard about his crimes, we're going to run through those now. But before we do that, because we'll end up rabbit holing and forgetting, we're going to go ahead and give our documentary a rating before we go off on those tangents. So, Victoria, how many cigarettes are we rating this episode?
This documentary was a wild ride. It was a very well done documentary. Again, homegirl that did this documentary has balls. She is brave because she went balls to the wall on this one, man. And it was all insane. Like I said, it was very well done. The way it was edited, the way it was filmed, the narration, everything to me was like a perfect documentary. But I wish there would have been like more information on certain aspects. So I'm only giving this one an 18, which is still pretty high.
That is still pretty high because I agree with everything you said. It was a very well done documentary, but it was called The Dangerous Life of John McAfee. Why didn't we hear more? I don't know. I wanted more. Because I've heard podcasts about him that went into his first marriage. It went into all of his crimes. It went into all of his conspiracies. And they were only an hour and 30 minutes. So it could have been done. It was just they spent more time focusing on the Belize crimes and not the entire picture of how dangerous this man was, just in my opinion. So I was only going to give it a 16.
Yeah, I mean, it was very interesting. I think it was still, like I said, I think my main reason for giving it an 18 is it was very well done.
Yeah,
And
I mean, it
again,
was.
this girl went and like put herself in a lot of danger actually.
And when it was aired, he was already in the line. Like he was in the limelight. He was doing something that we'll get into in a minute that made the whole documentary setting even scarier, in my opinion. Because if he didn't want you to be able to say this, part of me wonders if he would really start whacking people, So I do agree. She did do a great job. I just wanted more.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I just wanted a little bit more before all this, before Belize. Well, excuse me, ma'am. I feel like we missed a whole lot.
Yeah, we missed all, like, really, okay, you got the sale of his property, and then that was it. Like, we stopped. But, it's okay. So, timelining his crimes, the majority of his major crimes, in my opinion, started in 2010, and they went all the way up to his death. In 2013, he came back to the U.S. after running from Belize under suspicion of murder, which no shocker there. There's in the first 30 minutes of the documentary, you heard about how shady he behaved there with his army and the need for power.
So on November 12th of 2012, John was wanted for questioning in connection to the homicide of Gregory Viant
Viant is what the Viant Fall.
What Rachel said. I'm not good with names, guys. So he evaded police by hiding in the sandbox with a box over his head for several hours, which...
What the hell? What the hell?
So, listen. So, Fall was McAfee's neighbor, okay, guys? Let's just make that's why it ties in. There's a lot of information that ties into that, actually. Why are you hiding in a sandbox with a box over your head? Was there not a gazillion other ways to hide? Or better places? But also,
sandbox. He was like on the beach with a box over his head. What? Like, freaking weirdo. Okay, you're in a whole country that's pretty much woods and like very.
It's a jungle.
Find someplace normal, not like a freaking weirdo.
I mean, in true McAfee style, he had to stay true to his roots and be a weirdo.
Yeah, definitely a weirdo. To evade police, he left the sand, which is good, and went to Guam, where he would be found in December of that year, and he was arrested on December 5th in Guam, and then hospitalized for quote-unquote heart attacks, which he would later be reduced to high blood pressure and anxiety attacks the next day. But McAfee would later admit that he knew it wasn't a heart attack and was all under the ruse to give his doctor, to spend more time with the doctors and give his lawyers more time to stop deportation to Belize. Instead, he ended up getting deported back to the U.S. But
I mean, you do you, boo-boo. You trying to
a freaking heart attack? Like, never would cross my mind that I'm gonna fake a heart attack so I can waste time.
I mean, he made it out to be like his lawyer was like, listen, this is what we need, and we need time for this. So he just made time. And I'm like, y'all can't tell when somebody's faking a heart attack?
Well, the doctor could. The doctor said it was high blood pressure and anxiety attacks. But
yeah, and I mean, he achieved his goal.
Yeah, he got what he needed, so.
So in Belize, his crimes consisted of, again, these are alleged. He was never officially charged or put on trial or anything. I just happen to agree with it. But anyway, so they consisted of murder, manufacturing drugs, rape, and weapons charges. The drugs and weapons charges were dropped. This is what happens when you have money. This is what happens when you're basically buying off everybody in a freaking little area of a country. Because
they're poor.
Yeah, they're poor. He was paying everybody to work for him, basically. Had multiple girls on his compound that he was paying and supporting, and multiple armed guards. Had he not been paying off the police and everybody in that little area, the charges wouldn't have been dropped because there was evidence.
Evidence? There was lots and lots of evidence. There
was a shit ton of evidence.
He had all of these weapons, and the weapons thing is what really bothers me because it's a reoccurring issue.
Oh yeah, it's a reoccurring. And then when they went and found the guns and the weapons and everything, when they ended up raiding his house because he wasn't able to pay off everybody in Belize. It didn't work all the way. There's a lot of stuff where he has a lot of dogs, and we all know how I go with dogs. Unfortunately, so before the raid, this is where I think we need to touch on this a little bit. Before the raid and everything, Fall, his neighbor, had complained to the government about his dogs running McAfee's dogs running rampant and just doing whatever they wanted. And supposedly Fall poisoned some of McAfee's dogs because the government wasn't doing anything about his dogs doing whatever the fuck they wanted.
I believe him.
And that's why everybody thinks that McAfee murdered him. And then when they were raided, another doggy was shot in the process, and I was not okay. And I'm still not okay, and I don't like talking about it.
Do you think that the poisoning did happen and then the retaliation of murder? First of all, That's a lot of payback. You murder my dog, so I'm going to murder you. What?
I'm sorry. I'm gonna be that asshole. You mess with my dogs, it's on. It is on.
Gregory
Those are
was
my
actually
children.
from the U.S. So they were U.S. citizens living next door to each other in another country. Why does everyone want to go to Belize?
So I have theories on this.
Because they can hide their money.
Because they can hide their money. Because seemed like the Belize government doesn't really give a shit what you do. Like, they were trying to act like they cared on this documentary. I don't think they actually give a shit. As long as, like, McAfee just took it too far, and they had to do something about it. But I think as long as you're not, like, you know, pulling no Epstein shit, they don't really care what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's true. What did they call... one of the guys on the documentary called McAfee the Donald Trump of Belize. And I'm sorry. This guy was way crazier. I mean, maybe it's just because we haven't gotten the whole story out of, our prior president, but this guy sounded way scarier. So when things didn't work out for him in Belize or Guam, he sent back to the US, and that happened in 2013. In 2015, he's arrested for a DUI and a weapons charge in Tennessee. 2015, we're arrested for that DUI. 2016.
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is that what the footage is from in the beginning of the documentary? Is when his arrest in Tennessee?
So, yes, I actually had to figure that on my own because they never actually discuss what that footage is from.
No, they didn't, and that's why I was really confused.
Yep,
and I fell down another part of a rabbit hole in this case and forgot to check that out. So that's why I asked.
That is when he was arrested, is at the beginning of that episode. And, a year after getting arrested for a DUI and a weapons charge, we think we should run for president. What the hell was he thinking? Like, I am fit to be president, wanted for murder in another country where they raided my house and found weapons and manufacturing drugs. And then I'm arrested in Guam for entering the country illegally. And then I'm arrested for a DUI and more weapons. But yes, I'm fit for this position.
I mean, there's so many people that have been running for president for a long time that, most people don't think are fit to be president, but they keep trying. And, that's the point of democracy, is you're supposed to be able to do, if you want to run, you can run. That's the point. But, no, sir. No, thank you. No, thank you.
He had people backing him is what scares me. Like, you could be delusional in your own world. That's fine. Run for president all you want. But these people know who you are and are backing you? What? That means there's even more delusional people in the world than I even thought possible.
Well, let's explain that a little bit more. So, when the election in 2016 brought attention to his money situation, and that would then start the investigation of his tax evasion, and McAfee's believes, sir, that taxes were illegal and that he hasn't paid them since 2010. And you know what? I'm sorry, I agree. I don't like a lot of the taxation rules. I'm one of those people that I have thoughts on that, but we're not going to do that. So he did lose his first presidential bid in 2016. He was running under the
libertarian.
What Rachel said again. Words are hard, guys. And he would not get the backing to be their presidential candidate. And then once again, he ran again in 2018. He would go in 2018 to do it again for the 2020 election. Once again, did not go as planned. But this campaign would happen away from the United States because his campaign party and his wife and him, they were all wanted by the IRS for fraud. And he was then arrested in Venezuela and held for 4 more days on weapons charges.
What is with all these weapons charges that he never gets convicted on? Like, no repercussions for any of these weapons charges. How?
I know in Venezuela they seized his weapons.
Okay.
Off of the boat.
He was rich. Just go buy more.
So I don't know. I don't know how he keeps getting away with it. It's very interesting because I just don't know. Maybe there's other rules or laws in other countries depending on it. I don't know what the rules all are on weapons everywhere else. So it's very interesting that this man just keeps getting away with having whatever freaking weapons he wants.
It's interesting that he thought he should be president.
In case you guys were wondering, he once again lost the bid.
Well, I think they can all figure that out. We're in 2021. And
But he didn't get the backing again to be the main libertarian candidate. So
at one point, he was in second,
he was.
which is crazy. But then again, how many people really run for libertarian? 4?
I think it's like 4 or 5 usually, yeah.
Yeah.
It's knocked down to the 2 like everything else does, and then the 1 runs, and Joe won for 2020 election.
Yes. Who I think is a professor at Clemson in South Carolina.
She is. I love her.
Yeah.
I love her, and I
Yeah.
love the person that was bidded to be her vice president, which was Spike Cohen.
Look at that. Alrighty. Well, while technology may have made McAfee rich, it was not his friend. Twitter allowed the world to see just how crazy and paranoid this man was. And his online presence was beyond dark and cynical for most of his posts. And I went and looked at some of them.
I did too.
So my husband knew a lot about like his posts. I guess I was like blown away by how much he knew. But
Why does that not surprise me though? Like, that seems like a rabbit hole Travis would fall down.
Yeah, it's because of the reason why he kind of got into him is he made a post, I think it was in 2019-ish, or I'm not sure, but around there, where he said if Bitcoin didn't hit a certain dollar amount, he would chop off his own dick. So, yes, that's why Travis watches him. And that's creepy. And he was serious.
Yeah, I mean, his Twitter's still up for anybody that wants to go look at it. It's a very interesting read. It is a very, very interesting read, and he was a very, very interesting man. And his wife's Twitter, his third wife, who he was married to till his death, her Twitter is also a very interesting rabbit hole to fall down, guys. So,
yo, if you were married to him, you'd have to be just as weird to be able to not look at him like he was fucking nuts.
Again, deep dived and fell down rabbit holes, and this is why I'm tired, because I was reading still last night about all this. I fell down their Twitters, and it was just insanity.
I want to know
insanity.
I want to know who the first wife was. Have you ever found her name?
No, her name is not anywhere.
Anywhere. And we don't know when he married his second wife.
Yeah, it's unclear, because we know he was married to her when they started the McAfee antivirus stuff.
Well, they know they were together. They don't know that they were married.
Listen, I want to talk about that for a second. Like, they talked about this in the documentary, okay? And they talked about how the offices were set up and how everything first started and how it was like all of his friends and his family that worked for him, which is normal for a lot of startup businesses.
Yeah.
Totally normal. What wasn't normal was the fact that they were talking about like people would sleep at the office to work all the time. Like, they would just go and have sex in the office, and like there was a competition and all this. This is where I think his cult behavior started. I feel like that was very much like his.
So I've heard podcasts where he was pretty normal up until that office. Like, he lived pretty normal. Like, he wasn't
started this company
until he started the whole antivirus. Yeah, like until I guess he realized he got paranoid about a virus. That's like when he had his like break and became very weird.
Do you think maybe he was like schizophrenic?
Yes, I do.
Because that's my thoughts with how paranoid he is and everything that he's talked about and said and how he was acting about the antivirus stuff really is really where you can see a lot of it. Like, I feel very much that he might have been schizophrenic, but I'm not 100% positive. I am not a psychologist. I'm not a doctor.
There's been no doctors to say that, but mental illness obviously ran in the family since the father also committed suicide. Well, I'm not going to say also because people think that John McAfee did commit suicide. Whatever. But his father did commit suicide. And I kind of wondered if it was like a schizophrenic reason of why he did, kind of thing. No evidence to back that, just questionable. But yeah, he was a strange dude. So there was obviously something going on in that brain of his, although he was very smart. I mean,
that's the thing. He was super smart. I mean, you have to be pretty damn smart to build this antivirus software and all this other crap. But like, some part of his brain just did not go with the normal, quote unquote, normal flow of things. And unfortunately, that just caused him to go. But I feel very much that this man was schizophrenic. Again, with him being very, very smart, he was also trying to build like this cult-like thing. Because then the antivirus plays, all of that started, and then they buy him out and like force it. Kind of seems like they kind of forced him out. And I think it's because he was having this mental break.
He gave him $7 billion in 1997. What is that worth today? Hold on. Okay, so 1 billion in 97 was equivalent to 1.7 million today. So I don't know how to do the math.
Not like he wasn't paid handsomely for his time and work.
And I don't think he really didn't want to be there anymore because he didn't want the corporate world. He just wanted the fun that he had in his little startup office.
Mm-hmm. And then that's when we see the yogi retreat happen. And then when that doesn't go to plan, then he goes to Belize and like builds this fucking compound and all these people. And also, at what point did the second wife be like, "Oh, I'm done with this shit"? Like, what was your breaking point, ma'am? I have questions.
So it was in 2002, which means it was after he sold, but before he moved to Belize, because that was until 2008. So I guess around the yoga retreat.
See, that just leads me more into my theory of he was trying to have this cult, because most of the time when it's this weird mountain up in thing with a man leading it, they're sleeping with multiple women. Like, was that her breaking point? Like, where was your point of being like, "Oh, this man's, I'm done with this shit"?
Yeah.
I'm nosy, and I want to know. I haven't seen much about her either, which sucks.
Yeah.
Like, we know who she is. We know when they divorced.
And they don't know when they got married.
He was very secretive about a lot of things, and some of it's like, well, why are you being secretive about that? Why is that the thing you're choosing to be secretive of? Also, do you think he actually lost money in the recession?
No. I mean, he may have lost some because obviously it was a recession. I think he started moving his money because shortly after the recession, he stopped paying taxes. So I think he was in the process of moving money. He was recalibrating who he was going to be.
Yeah, I think he was already moving things into offshore accounts. I don't know what was going on with cryptocurrency at that point.
So crypto, I asked Travis about this because I thought that was a little early. And crypto was actually in the starting realm in about 2009. We didn't dabble into, yeah, it wasn't well known except to people in the tech world. 2010 is when when it becomes like the dark web stuff starts coming out and more knowledge of the cryptocurrency world. So what Travis's theory was that he moved the money so that he could hide the money to eventually turn into crypto, and that's where all of his money is now. Supposedly. That's what Travis thinks. And Travis lives for conspiracy theory. It makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Because he was saying, like, if you go through his Twitter, there's a part of the cryptocurrency where he talks about it, and he talks about being, and again, if you follow any of it at all, or even just pay attention a little bit to the news of it, he talks about how he was one of the first people to be with Dogecoin, and then Elon Musk got behind it, and like, I don't understand cryptocurrency. Do not get it. Do not know what's going on with it at all. So,
if you want any information on it and want to piss off my husband, just I am him on Facebook, and he loves to complain to me about people asking him questions about crypto world.
See, no, I don't want to do that. I don't get it. I don't understand virtual money.
The way I understand it the best is really like you start out with your chain of money. And instead of having like dollars, you have like a necklace. And you can just keep adding to this necklace as the little people inside the computer build up more and more of it for you. I don't know. It's very confusing. It's my husband's favorite thing in the world to research and study and make money on. So
maybe at some point we'll force Travis to come explain cryptocurrency to people.
Maybe. There's a bunch of interesting crimes related to it. Like the dark web itself. And there's a good documentary on it. So we might actually do that.
That could be interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I think so I agree that like probably most of his money was tied up in crypto. His wife is still maintaining that he was broke because he was saying he was broke towards the end there before he got arrested and put in jail in Spain. He was saying he was broke. He had no money. And, his wife, his current, the one that he was married to, is like, has a past of herself. And she says, like, if you go read, she talks about how they met, and they supposedly met in, what was it, 2013, when he was brought back to the US, and said that he was smoking a cigarette, and she asked for one, and the rest was history. And that's how they met and fell in love. And I'm like, but it seems like he was with another girl that he brought with him from Belize. So where did you come from?
I don't know.
Because they don't talk about third wife in this documentary, by the way. They don't talk about her.
The amount of women that this man slept with or had relations with is outstanding. I mean, he claims he claims he has 47 children and doesn't know a single one.
That's a lot of freaking kids, man.
47 children? I don't know if I believe that.
I mean, as much sex and women as this man was messing with, he has to have several children. I agree with that, but probably not 47. That's a lot. What are you doing? Trying to be like Belize Duggars over there?
I mean, I don't know. That's a lot of people. A lot of people.
Let's talk about real quick why he was so adamant of staying out of Belize custody. He was convinced that the government was going to kill him. He thought that this was just all a ruse for the Belize government to get their hands on him, and they were going to have him killed, and something would quote unquote happen while he was in prison with Belize. And I don't know.
To me, that's a legitimate fear. Like countries' prisons, like we think our prisons are bad. There are bad prisons in other countries, and Belize being the low-income country that it is, I think I'd be afraid too. I also don't think I would go there and start living like a citizen there, if I had a legitimate fear. Not that I think I would ever do anything that would result in me going to prison.
I don't think it would have been the government that killed him, though. This man had, counting his neighbor, at least 2 murders tied to him.
Yes.
I don't think it would have been the government. I think it would have been people seeking revenge.
Yeah, you can't pay off everyone.
That's just my thoughts, and my also theory on what happened with the neighbor. I don't think John killed him himself. I think there was a man that we see in this documentary where supposedly anytime something comes up with John now, this man almost dies, or people start shooting at him, or blah, 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 blah. So he was leaving Belize. I don't know where he went or what happened with him. I'd like to know. But I think that man was paid to kill the neighbor. Because if I'm not mistaken, that man was the friend of somebody whose death was tied to John.
Why did he think someone was going to kill him so much? Or do you think he wanted this power so bad, realized he wasn't going to get it, and then started screaming that he's afraid someone's going to kill him, and then actually killed himself?
Again, I'm sticking with, I think he was trying to be a cult leader. End of the day, that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to have this compound. He was trying to have all these people behind him. Like I feel like he was trying to turn that little area of Belize into his own little town. That's what he wanted.
Country. He wanted power. That's why he ran for president twice. He wanted power.
So I think the reason he thought everybody was out to kill him was he had a mental illness and most likely schizophrenia, because that's mostly what you see with how out there he was. And again, we're not saying that just because he was paranoid. There's a lot more that plays into this, because I know paranoid goes with a lot of mental illnesses, but there's a lot that plays into this that makes me think he was schizophrenic. He thought the Belize government was going to kill him because he was trying to take over that little area and like make that separate. So he thought the Belize government was going to kill him for that. He was supposedly trying to make this holistic medicine to change the pharmaceutical game.
Yes. The amount of power that this man was seeking in life really makes me wish I knew more about his childhood. Was there any warning
about his childhood?
What?
I want to know more about his childhood.
I know. Like, I really want to know. I really do. I want to know about the first wife. I want to know when he married the second wife. I want to know about these 47 children. I want to know why he was obsessed with guns. Like, where did that obsession come from?
So I think I was paying attention more to this part of it because I was very interested of like, why were you hoarding guns? And this is a common belief with a lot of people, actually, is a lot of the people have a lot of guns like that because they think they're going to need them for protection from the government.
All right. So I'm not going to
So that more backs the Belize thing of he was wanting to make that his own little country.
I also know of people who think of guns as money.
Mm-hmm.
If it gets to a certain point in their craziness minds of what they think the government is, they think they could use these guns as power or trading value for life. Like instead of having money, you would use guns or ammo or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fucking weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's an out there theory, but, you know, there's also people that have doomsday bunkers and, you know.
I know people with those too. Wow, I know some really
More
fucking
power to
weirdos.
you. More power to you. If you want to put your time and energy into that, I'm happy for you.
If we ever meet them, make sure you remember who I am.
Yeah, we're cool. We might like pick at you a little bit, but it's all out of pure fun. We want to be friends. If the zombie apocalypse happens, help me. I'm not gonna make it. Please just either feed me, protect me, or kill me.
Ever since The Walking Dead came out, I've always figured out which kind of person I would be in the zombie apocalypse. Which kind of person
I'm the one that's gonna be like, guys, just kill me. We all know I'm not gonna last.
Who do you think John McAfee would be? Because I already know.
He's Shane.
So
if we're going with Walking Dead universe. Ooh. Maybe. That's a good one.
Yep. Although if you read the governor's story, there's actually a reason why he has his little town is to protect his daughter who's been bitten. But still, he would have the same mentality of thinking that he needs to rule this little town.
In June of 2021 is when McAfee was found dead in a prison in Spain where he was being held for all this tax evasion stuff and getting ready to be extradited to the United States. Like the day after, I think it was, that they ruled that they would be extraditing him is when they found him dead in his cell from hanging himself. He committed suicide, supposedly. A lot of people do not believe he committed suicide. His wife included. His wife is very vocal on Twitter that he did not kill himself. And there's a lot of people that are behind him, that were behind him saying, you know, taxation is theft, free him, blah, blah, blah. And now it's John McAfee did not kill himself. Just like, you know, we had the whole Epstein did not kill himself. And Rachel, do you think he killed himself?
Yes. I don't know. No? Yes? I don't know.
Maybe.
I really don't know. I have no idea. I think it's strange that he's a strange person. And a lot of, like, if you go all the way back on tweets for years, he, like, will state something and then years later be like, oh, I said it for this reason. Like,
yeah,
he
backpedaled a lot.
Yeah, like, example with that Bitcoin thing. He does all that tweeting about Bitcoins and how he thinks it should be $2 million by 2020 or whatever, which was never going to happen. But he goes back later and states that, oh, I just said that to rile people up into purchasing more Bitcoin.
Yeah, this is the thing. He never denies that he says it, but he always backpedals on it.
Yep. He never denies that he says it, but he always says why he did what he did. Example, the heart attack. So he faked a heart attack because he needed more time. You know what I mean? Like, he's always doing something to counteract, like, for his benefit. The suicide thing, I can't really figure out what would be the end game. Like, you can't come back from, you know what I mean? Like, once you're done, you're done. Mm-hmm. But it did also bring a lot of attention to him, and he liked having attention.
Also, how is he tweeting from prison?
Yes, I've questioned that a lot. At one of the prisons he went to, they also set him up with a blog where he was blogging about his investigations and the charges. And I went to look for it and got sidetracked and never found it, but that's because I forgot to keep looking for it. But yeah, so supposedly there's a blog about his times in prisons and stuff. But
do I just not understand how prison works? Because somebody also told me
there's different levels of communications available. I know here you can pay to go on the internet for a certain amount of time, but everything's monitored of what you're doing.
What?
Yeah. Some prisons, and it depends on what level prison. And there was one in California on prison TikTok. Why I'm on prison TikTok, I don't know.
I live on prison TikTok, and I don't know how I got there, but I'd never want to leave.
Me neither. But there's one that they talk about paying. It's kind of like an ebook or whatever they want to call it, a virtual.
Oh yeah, like some of them have tablets. I remember reading about that.
Yeah, so they have ways to communicate with the outside world now, depending on your criminal level.
Which I was for it when we were very much in America shut down because they weren't allowing visitation in prisons. And, some people, that wasn't fair. So I was all for like the video chats and stuff with tablets and all that. But, now that we're allowing visitation again, why do you need a tablet? What are you doing? I have questions.
I mean, what else are you going to do in there? Can you imagine if I went to prison and I had a tablet, how much Pinteresting I could do and never complete the project? Man, I could do that I'd be living in hog heaven. Give me a tablet, sit me in a cell. No
Also,
problem.
they would very quickly take the tablet away from me because they would be monitoring it and see what I'm looking up and they'd think I'd be up to something. But in reality, I'm just nosy.
But see, what I would do probably is find out other cellmates' names and then start Googling their crimes. That's probably what I would do.
Exactly. I'd be like, what did you do?
Yeah, like there's times that I'm on the county website where people were arrested the day before. And then I start like researching what they did prior. Like, I have a problem.
I'm not the only one that just randomly goes on the county website to see who was arrested.
No, I do it all the time.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I do it all the time. I just like to see. Especially like if I seen someone getting arrested on the side of the road. Oh yeah, I'd go the next day and look to see like, can I pinpoint who it was, what they were arrested for?
In summary, everyone, Rachel and I are nosy as fuck.
We can't help it. But I guess we can wrap this one up then.
Yeah, I mean,
we can go back to more ideas.
I mean, we could spend probably hours and hours upon hours talking about this because there is so much to it. And like, you never know, maybe more information will come about and we will revisit and talk about this more because there's a lot to talk about. Any final thoughts or anything you want to add, Rachel, before we close out?
I mean, if you're one of the 47 children that McAfee has birthed, well, not birthed, but, spread his seed to, I want you to, like, message us because we need to talk.
Yeah, we want to talk to you. We have questions. What do you know about your daddy?
Do you know anything about your daddy? Did he leave you any money? Because there's posts where he was like, nah, they don't get anything. I don't know who they are, and it's fine by me. So I'm just kind of curious. Did you end up getting anything? And if you were the first wife, we need to talk.
We won't out you. We won't tell you anybody your name or anything. We just want to talk to you.
You don't even have to tell me your name. I just want to know what he was like for that first marriage where he cheated on you.
I need to know more. We won't say your name. You don't have to tell us your name. You ain't got to tell us jack. Yeah, just verify that you were the one that was married to him in the beginning and tell us everything.
Other than that, no, I don't have any additional things I want to throw in. The man's crazy. Let's call it a day and wrap her up with a bow.
I agree. He was crazy, and we have more to talk about at some point, but definitely not right now because we would be stuck sitting here all day. And I don't really have anything to do, but I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I got a job. I gotta figure it out. So let's talk to you guys later. Y'all have a great day, and be sure to follow us on all social media platforms. And join our Facebook group, Crime and Chill Fam, to talk about this interestingness with us, because I want to hear other people's theories. Me too. Tune in next week, and bye.